Hey there, good people. It's your girl Vitamin Key back with another video, and I'm finally looking like somebody loves me. I promise I have a cosmetology license, but I've just been out here looking bummy because, like I said before, I just wanted to get some content out, but I happened to be doing something today and I had my makeup done. I said, you know what, let me go ahead and make a video, and that is my intent to just put myself in more situations where I'll look better. And which is it's gotten worse because I actually work from home now. And so I'll be looking like a straight up hobo. Like I'll go out with my little slaps on, and the elastic is worn out in them, so they'll just be hanging askew like this. And it is what it is. You catch me, it is what it is. But that being said, I wanted to come in with like a little bit of a story time to put a little, I don't know, just kind of crack the door open to just some of what it is that I will be talking about on my channel and things like that. So, for those who don't know, even though I've mentioned it like a million times, probably at least once or twice every video I've made from years ago on up, I'm a single mother. I have two daughters. One is 15, one is 5. So they have two different fathers. And just to kind of give a brief overview, so I was celibate at one point for about almost 4 years, and I still like go major periods without dealing with anybody, men, without having sex and things like that. Like I can't remember the last time I think yeah, it's been about a year now at this point. So I'm back at it. But my point is like I wanted to start kind of telling my stories because there are a lot of women out here who are dealing with baby fathers or just men that they need to leave alone, and they feel like they can't leave them alone, and don't want to leave them alone because a big part of it is a dependency on sex. And I just kind of like on my channel, I hope to be able to kind of help them to unpack those thought processes that they are, kind of letting bind them in the bad situations and things like that. And just hopefully by telling my story, I can empower somebody to do better for themselves and for their children, because my children were a big part of my drive of just trying to get myself together mentally and emotionally, and not continue to do dumb stuff. You know what I mean? So that being said, today I want to tell the story about just kind of how I cultivated this mindset and this discipline to be able to, not just put up with a dry spell, but to really be intentional about my sex life, and abstaining from sex until and unless I get what the other things that I need out of the situation, and building that discipline up to be able to say, okay, well, yeah, maybe I would like to have sex, but I also need these things to be going on as well. So I'm going to hold off, and this is how I make sure that I get that stuff going on before I indulge. So that being said, like I said, I have a 5 year old, and I, so I had a mental breakdown, because from chasing my older daughter's father. Like it was a whole thing, and that's a whole nother story. It's kind of difficult for me because all these stories kind of overlap and have stuff to do with the other one. So I'm gonna try real hard to keep this concise as possible, but I will talk you to death. So anyway, I started dealing with my youngest daughter's father because I knew him from high school, and me and him reconnected during my recovery from a mental breakdown I had, stemming from things that had happened between me and my oldest daughter's father. I was about 28 at the time. So I had been evicted from my first ever place I was ever mine, that I loved. I'd have been evicted from there. You know, I didn't have a job, anything like that. But I started talking to him again, and being with him made me feel like I had felt when we were younger. You know, we met each other in Upward Bound, which is a program, like an extracurricular program for kids that are gifted. You know what I mean? So if you were seen to be a higher achiever or a higher intellect child, that's a program available to you. And me and him connected in that program back then, and we used to we lived near each other, so we would catch the bus to and from or whatever, and we bonded over being, you know, smart kids and a little weird, you know, being poor, being black, whatever. We had bonded then. But he's like 2 years younger than me, so of course, you know, at that time it's like, oh no, you know, so he was just a little cutie little boy, little friend, you know, at that time. So then he just popped up out of the blue. Like, we had been Facebook friends for years and years, but he just popped up one day, while, like I said, I was recovering, and we struck up conversation, and it was kind of one of those things where I think, I don't want to speak for him per se, but it just feels like we both kind of latched onto that feeling of nostalgia. It took us back to a simpler time before we were parents, because by the time we started talking again, he had kids as well. But it took us back to that time where it was just us, and you know, we had the world at our feet. Basically, we hadn't messed up yet, and we still had so many possibilities, and it made me feel, I am grateful for that time, because I recognized that I felt value in myself once more, and I tried to be mindful to know that that value did not come from him. Like, he was the catalyst to kind of remind me, but my value is my value, and since I remembered it, I tried to hold on to it. And that, along with the experience I had from dealing with my oldest daughter's father, to be able to kind of pick up certain things when certain things were happening, it gave me the ability to recognize when my youngest daughter's father was starting to change, like men can sometimes when you have children with them. And as I recognized those changes happening, I just would kind of let them know, like, hey, I see this going on. I'm hoping it's not whatever, but if it is, you know, just don't, you know, don't make an enemy of me, basically. Like, my thing was, once I got pregnant, I told him, I said, look, I'm used to being a single mother, you know, and it was irresponsible of me to get pregnant, but I am pregnant, and I'm having this baby, and I don't expect you to do anything you don't want to do. My I value our friendship. Like, that's basically what I value, our friendship more so than, you know, you being my man or anything. So if you don't want to do this family thing, that's okay, you know. And he was just like, oh no, I'm so happy, yada yada yada. He proposed to me. He even, like, there's so much, this was over the span of like my entire pregnancy, different things happened, but like, he even had made an announcement on Facebook that we were supposed to get married after me and him had just talked about it. Like, I hadn't even told anybody per se, but he put it on Facebook, so it was like this whole thing. But the thing with him was, he had some mental and emotional issues too, and what I didn't understand till, you know, after the fact, was that that would cause him to be very impulsive. And so he would have these hot, you know, ups, and then he would have these real lows where he would just disappear and things like that. So over the course of my pregnancy, he wound up cheating on me a couple times, and I know I was like 8 months pregnant. My last straw was when I was about 8 months pregnant, and he I couldn't find him or something one time. Like, I was trying to call him or something, I couldn't find him, and then he got his phone back because he would lose his phone. And then we were talking, and like, he just sounded weird, and the stuff he was saying, it just was very, I knew that he was talking to somebody else and he was about to drop the bomb. And I just basically was like, you know what, I'm not doing this with you. I have to gestate this child. I can't, you're clearly not invested in this relationship and you're clearly not invested in this friendship. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to block you on Facebook. I'm going to block you on my phone, and I'm just going to go ahead and do what I need to do. So once that happened, like I went and I had applied for some housing, and I just, made the moves I need to make as a single mother. And what happened was I wound up getting a house, an apartment right around the corner from where he lived at. Not because that was where the facility was, because like where I went to apply for housing, it wound up being right across the street from where he lived. So then the house that I was in was like 2 blocks further up from there. So when I saw that, by that time the baby was like 2. And I remember walking, because I was like, let me walk. I was trying to walk from where my apartment was to where the offices were and see where it was. And it just so happened to be about 2 blocks straight. And his, like I said, this is the office where I applied, and this is where he lived. And this was all coincidental. It was coincidental. I say it was coincidental because I heard of this housing place before he had even got his apartment. So then when he had got his apartment, like I would go out there and visit his apartment. So I knew his apartment well. And then when all that stuff had went down, I said, let me go apply to this place. And I looked at the address, and I'm like, that looks like it's going to be close. And it wound up being right across the street. So whatever. So I went on my little walk to see how close I was to I live in Philadelphia, so Germantown Avenue, and his house was like right off of Germantown Avenue. So as I'm walking to Germantown Avenue, I had to walk past his house to get to Germantown Avenue. So anyway, long story short, he would always call and stuff like right after I had the baby, when the baby was like a year old. I was living with my grandma, and this was before I got my housing. He had come down because we had court. Because I was on welfare, Philly welfare. You gotta give him the father's name. So I gave him the father's name, and we had court coming up. So then he came around like, oh, I'm so sorry. Now, mind you, by the time my daughter was about 4 months old, he had somebody else pregnant. So she's about to bust at this point, and he's coming around. I guess, he clearly doesn't want to be a father. So now she's pregnant. So now she's the problem. So he's coming to me, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. I'm still open because, like I said, I miss my friend. You get what I'm saying? He was my friend. In my mind, he was my friend more than anything. I miss my friend. And, of course, I want to be a family with a friend. And we have this child and, whatever. So he comes around. He's talking all types of stuff. And I'm just like, okay, sounds good. Let's see. Pump the brakes, And long story short, it was BS. He was telling her one thing, he was telling me another thing. It was all types of stuff. So anyway, I'm walking past his house, and I'm like, okay, shoot, we live 2 blocks from each other. And he used to always say, oh, you can come over anytime, this and that and the other. Of course, I wasn't going to do it, but right now I'm just like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to let him know we live this close. We need to figure something out so that the baby can come over. And, I'm really not on no stuff like it's got to be us. I'm just like, look, this is the universe saying we need to figure this out in terms of you having a relationship with your child. So I knock on the door. She's in there. She lives there. I don't know this because, like I said, the last time he and I talked, he wasn't with her. She wasn't living with him. This is what he's telling me, I'm saying. Because I used to go up there. I would go up there and just hang out with him and make out and whatever. So I knock on the door. She's in there. She got attitude. So now I'm at a point where, do she want to meet me? Because I don't know what the problem is. So then I go in, and she's talking about some stuff. Mind you, at this point, he and I hadn't talked to each other for like, I want to say 4 months or more. But she's upset at this. She has the baby in her arms at this point. But she was about to give birth to this baby. Text that she had found between he and I. But we haven't talked because what happened was once she had the baby, it was something that happened, and he had made plans to come and see our daughter. And he broke those plans. And then later on Facebook, I saw him out with her and their child and her mother. And that's when I said, okay, he's playing games. I'm not even going to let it go that far. I let him know. I said, look, you still can be in your daughter's life, but nothing's ever going to happen between you and I, because I just knew that it was always going to be some BS. So Now, fast forward 4 months, here I am standing there in the apartment that was supposed to be for he and I, according to him. According to him. You get what I'm saying? This is the stuff he's saying me. So she was upset. So we wound up, I said, look, honey, I don't want him. And then me and her kind of started comparing notes about stuff. And she was still mad, but she was still invested in their relationship. I was just like, look, it is what it is. We live around the corner and this is his daughter, so you can see her and whatever. So that was that. So over the course of, I was living there for like 3 years. Over the course of like 3 years, he would see her for a while. She would go. She would spend nights. She would spend weekends. This and that and the other would happen. But then it would always be something like he would always try to eventually start talking to me with should, coulda, wouldas. And what I didn't realize until way later on was this would happen mostly when she would get pregnant because he was with her. She was with him pretty much the whole time that I was living up there. She was living with him in that house. And what happened was they wound up having a big fight or whatever when she was pregnant with their third child within about 3 years. So prior, I wouldn't say maybe around the time that she got pregnant with their second child. Like I said, he would contact me. Sometimes he would even time it that I could bring the baby around when she wasn't there. Like I didn't know fully. I had ideas about why she wouldn't be there and what was going on, and then I got wise to it and I used to just send her, like, say, look, I'll bring her or you can come get her, I'm not going to be there. So but in my heart and in my mind, I still felt like one day, if he really loves me, like, because he would be basically saying, like, oh, it should have been you type of thing. And I'm just like, well, it ain't. And it could be. But I'm not going, I don't know what you want from me. I'm not the one in control of these things. And so it just got to a point where I just was tired. And I remember one night I was up, it was late, and the moon was just shining in my room. And I just was crying and praying and just saying, God, please just take this idea that me and him are going to be together away from me because I want to live my life. You know what I mean? Like, they have each other. I don't have nobody. And I want to stop feeling like it should be different. I mean, and I'm not even talking about with men in general. I'm just talking about at that point I was just like, I don't want to be worried about him no more. You know what I mean? Like just that's not going to happen. He's not, because he wasn't even treating her good. You know what I mean? It was just one of them things where I was just like, it makes no sense to keep doing this to myself. I don't want to keep doing this to myself. And whatever it is that is making me keep doing this to myself, take it away. And it was gone. And from that moment on, I just, I still would deal with him and I still would try to be accommodating and nice and make sure that, my daughter was going to visit as much as possible. But I was done with the whole idea of us being together, and I actually started looking at it. And I mean, now mind you, I didn't have no delusions like, oh, he was such a great guy, but it was just that thing where I was just like, oh, maybe he'll grow up, maybe he'll change type of thing. You know what I mean? I didn't want back what I had because he used to cheat on me. He used to do me dirty like he was doing her dirty. But I just kept thinking, oh, one day he'll grow up, and then when he grows up, he'll want me. And I was just like, he ain't growing nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to change. And once I accepted that he wasn't going to change, I was just kind of like, oh, well, y'all do you. I hope it works out, you know. So then from there, it kind of became a thing where, so around the time my youngest daughter was 1, like I said, I told him I wasn't gonna deal with him anymore, and I meant it at that time. I really wasn't looking to deal with him, but I still was thinking that maybe he would grow up. But then I was just like, I wasn't holding my breath. So my daughter was about 1 year old, and I met this guy that lived in my neighborhood, and he came around. He was just like, oh yeah, I was looking for you. I saw you sitting on the step with the baby. He was really interested in the baby. He seemed like a really solid guy, and he was like a friend of friends of mine. And he worked a couple jobs, girl, and he's a part-time preacher. It was just like, I was like, this is a solid type of guy. This is the type of guy I need to be with. And then he, lo and behold, he was interested in me. And I was just like, okay, all right, all right. So I started dating him and he started acting funny. And I was just like, that was when I laugh now because I'm just like, that was before I kind of got my mind right and understood certain things. And I still was on that tip of, oh, well, if you don't want me, you need to leave me alone type of thing. It's like, girl, now I'm just like, girl, that's not how it works. But of course, they always be like, because men don't want to feel like the bad guy. And so they're never going to say, you know what, yeah, you're right. I'm not interested in you. Because then in their mind, I guess they think you're going to go, whatever. And I'm not that type of person. See, I'm the type of person that's just like, look, oh, you don't want me? Oh, cool. You don't have to worry about me again. But the thing is, they don't want that either. Because, if you like, oh, you don't want me, then you don't get none of that. You know what I'm so anyway, he acted funny towards me and it really hurt my feelings. And I told him so. I was just like, look, at the end of the day, because what happened was my birthday is in August, and I think his birthday is in September or something. So my birthday was coming up. This was after I got in my apartment or whatever. My birthday was coming up, and I texted him and was just like, "Oh, hey, my birthday's coming up," because I didn't want nothing from him, just a happy birthday. So I just called myself reminding him my birthday was coming. He's like, "Oh yeah, I remember your birthday's coming. This and that." And he goes, I said, "Okay." My birthday comes. My birthday goes. He doesn't say happy birthday. Okay. He texted me like no lie, it was like a month to the day of my birthday. So it was like September 10th or whatever. And I think his birthday was the I don't remember exactly when, but I know it was September. It was like a month after my birthday. So he texted me like, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm just like, my birthday was what was up and you missed it. You know what I mean? And that's a clear indication that you don't care about me, and that hurt my feeling. Like I'm that type of person, and it doesn't have to be an argument. I'm not going it's just I'm just going to tell you. And I told him. And when I tell you, like, I told him that, he's just like, "Oh, I didn't mean to, y'all." I was just like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Next time I saw him in the street, he looked at me like I was a damn ghost. Okay, and every time I've seen years after, I swear to you not, he looks like when he sees me like he thinks I'm about to just air him out in the street, and I'm just like, no, I said what I said, and that's it. So that being said, when all that went down, I just was like, you know what, girl, you ain't good at this. You need to leave men alone. For real, you need to leave men alone. Like, you're not getting anything out of this of substance. It's nerve wracking. It's annoying. Um, yeah, it's just no point. And for years, like when I would swerve dudes. Like I remember one time I was working this job, I had to go out to like different Costco's and stuff, and this man was there. And he was cute, and he came. He was just like, "Oh, I just wanted you to know if you have a boyfriend, he's really lucky because you're really beautiful and this and that and the other." And I was just like, "Thank you." And I left it at that. And I know because it affected him. Because anytime I saw him after that, like I would just say hi. He gave me the same look, like I was just crazy. You know what I mean? But I feel bad for that because clearly, he felt some type about it. But I was proud of